Joining me today from the Department of Ag Trade Consumer Protection is Laura Sutherland. Laura, welcome back to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Jeremy. How are you?
Doing wonderful. Today we're going to be talking about canceling subscriptions and services. Yeah, it's the end of the year. It makes sense that some things you might not want to carry on into years to come, or maybe you signed up for that 3-month trial and you're like, oh, that's not a big deal. I'll sign out, or it'll automatically sign me out. No, there's always a catch, right? And I suspect, because I see you smiling, that I may have hit on just one of many different points as we come to the end of the season. So what does DATCP want us to know as we think about canceling subscriptions or taking on these types of services?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good time to take inventory to see what do you subscribe to, what do you want to continue to be subscribed to, and how can you get out of it? And these are all good questions and sometimes can be a little convoluted. So first of all, let's talk about what you should do before you sign up. And this is a bit of an eat your vegetable lecture, I'm sorry to say, but you really do have to take the time to read those terms and conditions when it comes to the company's refund policy, their return policy, and their cancellation policy. And make note if there's any cancellation fees affiliated with that policy. A lot of times in the fine print, there's some hoops that you have to jump through. And when you go to, if you haven't read it and you get to that point where you want to cancel, you are unpleasantly surprised by some of the things that you have to do or have to pay in order to get out. So make it a practice to read those things up front so you know what you're getting yourself into. A lot of us get lured in by those free options and, oh, you can get this subscription for free for a handful of months. And then if you don't want it, well, then you just cancel at that time. Really important. But if you don't remember to cancel, you're automatically renewed in a subscription that could be kind of expensive and not part of your budget and not something you want. So again, if you're doing that, if you're doing a trial, I recently did a trial of a magazine that I thought I would like. Turns out I didn't like it. I put that renewal date in my calendar to remind myself that I need to be canceling it at that time so I don't get charged a fee. Now, subscriptions should be telling you that cancellation date is coming up, and they often do, but that can go into your junk mail, or it can be an email that comes through and you think, oh, I'll read this later, and then you forget. It's really incumbent upon you to make sure that you remember that because it will automatically renew and start charging if you don't do it.
And question on that, can you guys step in as Department of Ag Trade Consumer Protection if a consumer has done this and realize, oh my gosh, I've been getting charged for this for 6 months and I didn't want this, and they're not giving me my money back? Can you guys actually step in and say, well, you didn't read the fine print? I mean, we can look into it, but where does a consumer, if that does happen, what do you tell them from your standpoint?
Well, so negative options are only illegal in the state if they aren't properly disclosed. In other words, if you are, as I say, get an auto renewal from a free trial, or you make a one-time purchase and they give you an automatic renewal, if they're disclosing it, then it's not illegal. They're not disclosing it and they're requiring you to actively opt out without disclosing it, then they're going to be running afoul of the law, and we can do something about that. So again, reading the terms and conditions, and then if it turns out to be an automatic renewal, making sure you know that when that is, it's going to be incumbent upon you. If they haven't told you those things, then you very well may have a complaint and you should file with the department. But even instances when it's just really difficult to cancel can be an issue, right? So sometimes we find those companies, wow, it's super easy to sign up. I mean, signing up is a piece of cake, and billing us, well, that's even easier. When you want to get out of those bills, that's when it can get a little complicated. You can't find that phone number, you can't find that contact information. No one ever answers the phone when you call, a whole series of things. So first of all, try again. Don't give up, because a lot of times they set these policies up to make it more difficult and hope you'll give up, but don't give up. But if you get to a point where you can't figure out how to cancel and that information isn't clearly disclosed to you, and and what is clearly disclosed isn't functioning, isn't working the way it's supposed to work, that's when you bring us in. That's when you file a complaint to the department, because it could very easily be an unfair and deceptive trade practice that they tell you can cancel, but no one's figured out how to do it. And we've had those cases, Jeremy. We've had those cases where people simply can't figure out how to get out of the contract. That would be a deceptive trade practice in the state of Wisconsin. We'd be happy to look into that for you.
I'm not surprised. I mean, you're right. It's typically easy to get into something and hard to get out of it when it comes to different things, subscriptions, you name it. Like the example here of TV, because there's a lot of different TV subscriptions out there to date, and a lot of people are trying these things and experimenting and then forgetting about it. And I think it's good that you've noted here that, you're limited in, what you can do. So you really need to read the fine print. And I guess that'd be my suggestion to you is, or a question to you is, when you're really looking at that fine print, how do you, I mean, these things are a mile long. And so how do you really figure out those important details when you're signing up for these things and they're a gazillion pages long?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. So first of all, if you sign up with a human being, you ask them what their cancellation policy is. And you say, what is it? You get them to tell you. And usually they're being reported, so they need to be accurate. And then you say, and can you point to me where that is in the contract so you can read it for yourself? So those are two ways you could do it. In terms of written contracts that you sign up online, you can do in your search function the word cancel. And find that fee and find that cancellation policy. Now, typically there is information that you can see about the cancellation policy, but if it's too difficult to find, even when you're signing up, that could be a red flag that maybe this isn't a company that is being upfront about these things. But those are the two ways. And then if you really want to sign up and you can't find it, presumably there's a chat function on the website or there's an email, and you can engage with somebody and say, look, I'm looking for your cancellation policies. But again, Jeremy, the lesson here is that the more e-commerce we're involved in, the more we're online, and there's a lot of benefits. There's a lot of ease. There's a lot of efficiencies. Everything's right at our fingertips. There's a lot of responsibility, and we have to do our homework and read these policies, protect our identity, all the things that we talk about on this show. Because it can come back to bite you, and we can't always do anything about it if you haven't done that at the upfront.
Yeah, I think a couple of those questions asked today kind of hit on that point, that you are a great resource in everything that the Department of Ag and Trade Consumer Protection does, but there is a limit to that. And taking steps at the front end of this to verify that you're not going to get surprised at the back end. I think it's a great information here, and certainly we appreciate it. If people do want to learn more about this, or even calling in for a complaint or figuring out how to submit a complaint, by the way, really easy. How can they do so?
Well, they can call our consumer protection hotline at 1-800-422-7128, and they can visit our website at datcp.wi.gov, where we have information about common scams and how to avoid them. And then you can file a complaint there if you think you may have been a victim of one.
All right. Well, thank you for your help again all season. We appreciate it, and we'll check in with you next month.
Okay, terrific, Jeremy. Thanks for having me.